Mate whakapono, mate tumanako, mate tiretiro, mate whakarongo, mate mahitahi, mahi mana wanui, mahi te araha, ka teia e mato. And what that translates as is by believing and trusting, by having faith and hope, by looking and searching, by listening and hearing, by working and striving together, by patience and perseverance, by all being done with love, we will succeed. Which I hope is a good sentiment for the day. Okay, so as I said, this is the 18th time we've run these things. And what we do is we come down from Auckland, we're based at the University of Auckland, and we give a day-long series of talks on the work that we've been doing, and sometimes the work that we've been doing with our collaborators, and we bring collaborators in, as we're going to be doing today. So we've got, after this introduction, we've got, 9 talks, all listed there. So Compass is a faculty research centre in the Faculty of Arts at the University of Auckland, and we're a quantitative social science research centre. So broadly speaking, we analyse data, often whole population data, though not always, to understand health and well-being for Aotearoa New Zealand. I'm the director. We've got many of these people here actually. Steph, deputy director. Lisa, next to her, is a senior research fellow. Natalia in the front is a postdoc. Martin at the back. Data analyst. Eileen as data analyst, who's also just handed in her PhD. And we've got should have done this next week, Annie, where we talk about you handing in your PhD. And we've got a number of students, Eileen, Luna Muhammad, who's also about to be handing his PhD, Francisca, I guess we'll be handing in next year, actually. Alexia's got a couple of years to go. Paula, I'm not sure about. Tori just getting underway next week, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yep, and she's going to be talking as well today. And Mariana, who I thought Mariana might come along today, actually. She's with Victoria University, but I'm co-supervising her with Colin Simpson. She's just underway with her PhD as well. So that's us, and we rely on funding from different sources to do our research. So our team kind of gets bigger and smaller as we're doing more and more things. And we had a relatively good time of it before and through COVID, and it's kind of quietened down as it has for a lot of the research sector since then. So in terms of some of the projects we're doing, and this is not all the things that we're working on, but a snapshot of some of the things. So Natalia is going to be talking about this work, actually, the classifying complex illness and linked data, particularly with multiple sclerosis, but looking to broaden that with subsequent applications. Work we do with Jane Harding, who has been involved in a number of, Dame Jane Harding, involved in over a number of years in perinatal interventions and looking at the outcome on children's outcomes long term. So we're involved with that and involved on the side of things where we advise about the linking to administrative data sources. We investigated linking to the IDI, but that didn't really work for various reasons. Better Start National Science Challenge is something that just came to an end in June. I was, for the second tranche of that, they called it, I was the lead of the big data theme. Big data, by that they meant sort of whole population data, analysing mostly IDI data. Steph worked on that project as well. A couple of ones below there actually are kind of interesting. Ones that don't really involve data, more sort of scanning of what's there in the literature and what's available data-wise. Review of data sources, both funded by MSD. Review of data sources regarding caring, which Lisa is leading, and it's a relatively short-term project that finishes September, October, something like that. And one we did last year that Natalia led, really, although my name's down as PI, review of data sources relating to abuse of elder people, and just going through the final touches of the report on that at the moment.
Sorry for all the changes. It's Tim.
Hi, Tim.
Hey,
Tim's involved, yes. Yeah.
Hopefully it'll be published next month. Fingers crossed.
Okay. If you want to know when the report's coming out, talk to Tim.
Or the minister.
And this one that Steph's going to be talking about later this morning. Is this morning? Yeah. Kimono Tangata, the health impacts of playing rugby, where rugby register that was maintained by New Zealand Rugby has been linked to the IDI, and so you can look at outcomes for rugby players. Life course impact of chronic health conditions, that's one that Lisa's been heavily involved with, is going to talk about later as well, where we're interested in, again, making use of all the different things you can do with integrated data really in New Zealand. The extent to which having a chronic condition yourself has an impact on your wider family. Inequality in service uptake, that's a study that we're working on with researchers in Denmark, who actually at the Rockwell Foundation in Denmark, and also researchers at University of Michigan, to compare kind of distributions of inequality between New Zealand and Denmark and outcomes as a result of that. So there's one paper that came out in the last year looking at the role of inequality in deaths of despair, so deaths from suicide, drug overdoses, and alcohol deaths. And informatics for social services and wellbeing data New Zealand, that's what funded Eileen's PhD. It's led by Colin Simpson here at the Victoria University Wellington. And that was a hodgepodge of lots of different things, still coming to an end actually. We created lots of widgets and various things that kind of helped people to use integrated data. The other one that I should mention as well, because I'll pass over to Jay shortly, is work that we partnered with Jay Marlowe on settlement trajectories of refugees, and also the Te Hao Nui project was led by Andrew Spall, who's head of Insight Analytics here, which we do a lot of work with Andrew Spall actually, but trying to use whole population data to create a longitudinal cohort for Māori, and Tori's going to talk about that later. Okay, so you may think that we only do whole population data stuff. We don't. We also do a number of surveys, and Martin's going to be talking about our survey work later. Ones that we do regularly are the International Social Survey Program surveys. So Compass is the New Zealand representative, or I'm New Zealand representative on the International Social Survey Program. So it's a group of 45 countries around the world. And what they do is they run the same social survey every year, but the topic of that survey changes every year. So, and it rotates through about a 10-year cycle, which means you can look how countries have changed over time, how countries compare to each other on a different thing every year. So we're still trying to scrape some funds together to do the Digital Societies one this year. It was actually the first time that's been run. They've introduced a new survey into the cycle, but we've run all the other ones since 2013. I think we were the hosts for this. Prior to that was Massey University. New Zealand Election Survey, involved, Jack Vowles leads that. I think he's passing it on to others now, but he leads that. And we do the survey administration for it. We're involved with 5 of those now. And other interesting surveys we've been working on. One recently on a survey of Māori creatives to look at view of people Māori working in creative industries, of their views on sort of IP, intellectual property rights, and those sorts of things. Te Ao Marama, a large survey actually we ran of disability in the Māori population in New Zealand, and that may spin off into something else coming up shortly. And a Papakainga survey, a survey of housing in the Ngāti Hawa population. Okay, on the back of the program, there's a list of other things we do. We run short courses, methodological short courses. Often these are courses that are run by a group in Australia called AXPRI, Australasian Consortium for Social and Clinical Research Incorporated, and they come over here and teach some of those courses. But we've developed a couple of ourselves. Those 2 at the bottom, we run a kind of intro to the IDI course for the past, 7 or 8 years now. Started with Cherie Gibb and Andrea Tang at University of Otago, Wellington, and we've helped with it since then. It's running again November at Massey University. It's going to be held, and in Auckland in February. And for the first time, if you see that banner over there, Eileen and Cherie have developed a practical IDI course, which built on a couple of recent developments. It hasn't really been possible to take people into the data lab and tell them about the IDI because there's so many steps you need to go through. to get them to that point. But thanks to Stats New Zealand, we're now able to do that. So on this very data lab on this floor, just 20 metres that way, we're going to be running this course December this year. If you're interested in any of these courses, you can go to that website there. And that's pretty much us.
Are you involved with the HRMI, the Human Rights Measurement Index?
I am not. We are not. Who do you know that works on that?
It's an international thing, but it's mainly developed in New Zealand, and they actually do for UN and the other big players, and they do the human rights measurements. They've got different contexts they take on.
The answer to that question is no, we don't. I mean, that's the sort of thing that if someone approached us, we would possibly get involved with, because this is the sort of thing that we do. But there's various others, international surveys around New Zealand. So is it just called the Value Survey? World Value Survey. Yeah, which again is right out of
I think they're involved with that. They're actually not for